Let's predict the final record for the South Carolina Gamecocks here in 2025. If you've watched this show, man, I have a special place in my heart for Shane Beamer, for LaNorris Sellers, for Willie B. Never been. Looks like a good time, though. So, when I see it on the broadcast, I'm like, that place looks sick. Would love to go someday. But what's the final record going to be? Let's try and put emotion out of the way. We'll talk about it right now. Before we do that, though, make sure you are subscribed if you're a South Carolina fan. Want more content around your Gamecocks? The best way to let us know is by subscribing. Because I'll give you some inside baseball here. When you subscribe from watching this video, we see that. So if a lot of y'all subscribe, it says, oh, okay, there's some demand there. We'll create supply. It's kind of how this whole thing works. We appreciate y'all for that. All right, like I said, I am enormously infatuated with LaNorris Sellers. Don't make it weird. Let's just keep going here. Overall, man, take a step back. I love just the centerpieces on both the offensive and defensive side for South Carolina. On the defensive side, you got Dylan Stewart, who's, you're all everything edge rusher. It was a freak show a year ago as a true freshman. He's back for some more. And I mentioned LaNorris Sellers already on the offensive side. Let's stay on the offensive side, though, for a second. I want to just dispel this narrative around LaNorris Sellers. I think people watch the highlights of what he did a year ago, where he's throwing grown men off of him against Clemson, and he's breaking tackles against Texas A&M. Like, the dude's just an absolute specimen at quarterback. But, legitimately a good thrower of the football. If you don't believe me, go back and watch the Missouri game where he threw 5 touchdowns. He can spin it, all right? So let's get that narrative out of the way. What I do want to say, though, is I think the consistency for him is the next step. Not a matter of can he. It's a matter of can he clean it up, all right? So I'm not questioning the physical acumen. I'm questioning if we can just be a little bit more consistent with making those big-time throws that are going to just break a defense, quite frankly. Because if I got to worry about LaNorris Sellers on the ground, and hopefully you have Rasul Faison eligible for you this season, and you got Nyck Harbor and Mazio Bennett and those guys that can actually not just separate, but I have a quarterback that can get them the football consistently when they do separate. Good luck stopping South Carolina. We're living in hypotheticals, but you understand where I'm going with this. Going back to Mazio Bennett and Nyck Harbor and that whole receiving room, Jaden Sellers included, that's kind of the biggest question I have around South Carolina. Because as much as I love LaNorris Sellers, you get to the college football playoff where you win double-digit games when you have like a supporting cast to go with LaNorris Sellers. Because if all I have is 16 every single Saturday, we're going to win a lot of games, but I don't feel great about our chances to ultimately get over the hump and be a team that's playing in the postseason. Just my feel on this thing. So is it Mazio Bennett that steps up? Is it Nyck Harbor now with the fact that he's had a full spring for the first time in his career at South Carolina, not running track right now? That could be something I could be bought on. There's a lot of names. I'm just curious if and who are the guys that step up in those positions. Now, I mentioned Faison, running back from Utah State, transferred in. Some stuff going on with the NCAA. Trying to get him eligible. Still waiting at the time of us recording this from the NCAA to get word on that. But if he's in the lineup, man, it's a massive variable. Just go back and watch his highlights at Utah State. Went for over 1,000 yards last year, right under 6 yards a carry. The year before at Utah State, went for 6 yards a carry. The whole situation there is, to put it simply, under the whole Pavia ruling, he's trying to get another year of eligibility. If he's eligible, to me, that is like the extra punch you have in the offense to go with Sellers. Because remember how crucial Rocket Sanders was at times for South Carolina last year? Like the A&M game comes to mind when you got to worry about 16 and a running back, and then you have a receiver step up. Again, we're living in a lot of ifs and potentials and maybes, but like if that happens with the skill set that Faison has, that's where things can really start to flywheel. Now, defensively, kind of the same question. I love Dylan Stewart. I love the centerpiece. Do we have someone else stepping up on the other side of him on that defensive line to be able to kind of be what, honestly, what Kennard was a year ago? Like, and I don't need you to go, win a bunch of awards nationally to be opposite Dylan Stewart, but I do need it to be a situation where, hey, when Dylan Stewart gets double-teamed, Brian Thomas, you can get loose and go make a sack. Like, I need that, or at least apply pressure or make you regret having to double Dylan Stewart or giving that other tackle just a day and a half at the office. Like, I need something like that. With the way South Carolina has developed in the secondary, there's not a lot of names to point to right now, but there's just kind of this expectation for me, at least, that they will have a good secondary overall, which maybe that's blind faith. I think that's kind of trusting the track record of that whole unit. So that's where I sit there. But the way I feel about South Carolina before we get to the game-by-game predictions here, you have the stars on this roster that I think reset what your floor is. if other guys around them can elevate and Shane Beamer can just get this team to play like how they played last year, quite frankly, above what their level probably was a year ago, again, that's where you take that next step and go from a team that's, winning 8 games, talking about the playoff to actually making the playoff. Does that happen? Let's break it down right now. Start the year against Virginia Tech. Little family business here for Shane Beamer. Would imagine his dad's rooting for him, but I don't know. Coached at Virginia Tech a long time. All jokes aside, you win that game, and I think Frank Beamer's happy about it. I think you beat South Carolina State. You got Vanderbilt, 3rd week of the season. I like Diego Pavia. I think they're scrappy. I think that'll be hard fought. I do think you win that game. You go to Missouri, a game that was phenomenal a year ago, could also be a scrappy one. I'm not 100% sold on what they're going to be at quarterback just yet, because I don't know who's going to be at quarterback just yet. And according to Eli Drinkwitz, he doesn't either. So I'll take you to win that game on the road. Big road win. Big for morale. You beat Kentucky heading into the bye, and then you're at LSU. Now, remember the LSU game a year ago. College game days there. Don Staley's the guest picker. Is a incredible scene, I think, for everyone that was watching that thing or anyone that was in Columbia. South Carolina should have won this game a year ago, and they didn't. I think a massive part of that is you point to LaNorris Sellers being hurt and not really being as effective or really available at all, quite frankly, with what he was supposed to be in that first half to the second half. So with that being said, I think you finished the business here. I think you finished the trip. I think you get a win at LSU. Now, is this a night game or not remains to be seen, but I really just believe that they're going to find a way, and I think LaNorris Sellers will find a way to elevate them to win that game in Baton Rouge. Massive win. Massive win. Then you play Oklahoma. Y'all know I love John Mateer. I love Brent Venables. I think that this stretch at LSU and Oklahoma is where 16 just puts you on the back and says, I'm taking over today. I used to wear the contacts. I don't anymore. I got a different helmet. I got a different swag. Got different confidence. I'm taking over today in these 2 spots. I think he does that. I think you get those wins at LSU and against Oklahoma. Now, here's where it gets a little more tricky, because I think that probably takes a pretty tremendous effort to get that done. You play Alabama. Almost got Alabama last year. I don't think that you get them this year. I think Alabama beats you in this spot. I think you go to Ole Miss. I think you win that game. You get a bye at A&M. I think A&M feels like they probably owe you one, and the fact that you got to go to their place this year makes me like A&M in that spot, so I think you drop that game. I think you beat Coastal Carolina, and then you play Clemson. Now, kind of the same deal. I think Clemson's got a little bit extra of revenge on the docket here. There's a game that came down to the last drive. Clemson was driving. Turnover sealed the deal for South Carolina. I think Clemson wins that game. All right, so that gives you a final record of 9-3. Same spot you were a year ago where you're knocking on the door trying to make the college football playoff, and 9-3 ended up being the cutoff. Here's my thing. If you're a South Carolina fan, you're watching this and saying, JD, what happened? And in your way too early college football playoff predictions, you had us in there. You've told us how much you love LaNorris Sellers. You've told us how much he makes the difference between a roster that's, pretty good, but then you put Superman out there and he can make the difference every single Saturday. I still feel that way. However, as we get further and further into this thing, as we're actually to prediction time, I'm going to keep it a buck with y'all, man. Like, you get to the top of the high dive, you look down, and it's just like, man, I don't know if I can take that jump. I want to. I'll say this. I will openly root every single week for South Carolina. Don't care how it looks. Openly root for LaNorris Sellers. Openly root for Shane Beamer. I can't take that jump right now, y'all. I can't. I can't do it. I think that the defense, losing Kennard is a big loss. I'd feel better about making that jump if I knew without a shadow of a doubt I'd have Rasul Faison the entire year. If I had more in that wide receiver room to trust, just for me personally, I'm not ready to take that jump just yet. So with that being said, I got him at 9-3. Now hear me clearly. At 9-3, having 2 9-win seasons, I think the silver lining in this thing, even with missing the college football playoff, Shane Beamer having momentum and consistency, I think sends the message of stability, which I think sends the message of, hey, if you want to go make the college football playoff, you can do that at South Carolina. I also think 9-3 probably keeps LaNorris Sellers there for another year, in my humble opinion. But and that's me telling you, I think he's also probably in the Heisman Trophy race with as good a year he's going to have. So it's not probably not the year that you were hoping for with the way that last year finished for South Carolina, but I do think is another building block year that kind of lays the foundation to hopefully set you up for another year of Sellers and hopefully get into a spot where you're in the college football playoff a year from now. But hey, I've been wrong before. Wouldn't surprise me if that happened again. I'll root for the Gamecocks, but South Carolina at 9-3 is what I got them at when the dust settles on 2025. But what do y'all think, man? Let me know in the comment section. Let me know on the message boards. What's your final record prediction for South Carolina at the end of this year? Caden Smith on the ones and twos, myself, JD PicKell. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. We'll keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time.